This is Hammer Striker here. Today we're going to talk to you about the Glock 20. It's Glock's 10mm. This particular one happens to be a Gen 4. This is based on their large frame series of pistols, so it's the same basic frame as the Glock 21, which is the 45. And up until the release of the MOS line, it was the largest and most powerful handgun that Glock offered. So let me show you a few of the characteristics of this gun. We'll start out with showing that it is clear, no magazine. A few of the things about this gun. Number one, the Gen 4 series, it has interchangeable back straps. This particular one has no back strap installed. It does come with a medium and a large. It has the standard Glock split trigger, which is part of the drop safety, and it has the internal hammer block, or striker block. This gun shoots the 10mm round, which there's a lot of mystique about the 10mm round. So at the end of this video, I'm going to share with you some numbers and some information about the 10mm. But for now, let's move on with talking about the gun itself. So first off, disassembly of this gun is the same as any other Glock. You verify clear, pull the trigger, pull the slide back just a hair, pull down on these tabs. Now on the large frame ones, it's a little bit harder sometimes to get the tabs down. Dual recoil cap this spring. This one does have a 4.61 inch barrel. The gun itself is 7.6 inches long, 5.47 inches tall, and an inch 0.28 wide, so it is the wider slide. And it weighs 27.5 ounces, so it's not by any stretch of the imagination a light gun, but it's not the heaviest one out there. It does have the striker block. So fundamentally this will operate the same as any other Glock. It has rails at the back, rails at the front, the locking block, and this mechanism right here is the pin that operates the striker block. Okay, so we'll go ahead and put this one back together. Reassembly is relatively easy. Drop the barrel in, spring in with the flared end towards the back, line it up, pull it back, and it's ready to go. Now this does come with the standard Glock U-dot sights, which are very easy to acquire. Very easy to see. They are replaceable. They're dovetail sights, so you can replace them with any number of different aftermarket sights or some other Glock sights that are available. And just one thing for clarity, the rear side is dovetailed. The front looks like it's pinned, but there's actually a hex bolt underneath that you can unscrew with a tool that you can get from Glock. There's also aftermarket tools, and it is fully replaceable. Only the rear side is adjustable, and that's standard across the entire Glock line. Now let's talk a little bit about the 10mm itself. There seems to be a lot of mystique that's associated with the 10mm and a lot of thoughts, different questions and thoughts on what the 10mm can and can't do. The 10mm started out as a round intended for the FBI, and in its use in the field it turned out to be a little bit difficult at times to control. So the .40 Smith & Wesson was born in response to that. The 10mm is a wide spec round, so you can get 10mm in everything from very light loads up to some very powerful loads. One thing that's interesting about this one, the felt recoil on this gun is actually higher than on some of the other ones, like the Glock 29, and mainly because the power of the 10mm round in the shorter barrels, there's still a lot of unburned powder. So you actually get a significantly higher muzzle velocity in a longer barrel on 10mm compared to some other rounds where the difference is less noticeable. I'll show you a couple of the guns that you might find would compare to. One of them is the Glock 29. This one is also a Gen 4, unloaded. And what you'll see is that from the back, the slide widths are almost identical. You can see that the grips are significantly different in length, and it's about an inch longer. capacity standpoint, the Glock 20 comes with 3 15-round magazines, and the Glock 29 comes with 3 10-round magazines. Now the Gen4s come with 3 magazines. From a comparative purpose, I'll show you a Glock 17, which is a well-known Glock, unloaded. And you'll see that the Glock 20 is even about a ½ inch longer than the Glock 17. The Glock 20 is definitely a large gun. You'll see that the Glock 17 slide is noticeably narrower. The Glock 17 and all the other calibers other than 45 and 10 are based on their narrower frame. So to give you a little bit of background on the ammo, 10mm is widely discussed as being too powerful, not powerful enough. What's it used for? So I'll give you some examples. Here are a few different rounds. There's a 9mm, a 40, a 45. I'm sorry, that's a 10mm, a 45, and a 10mm. The 9, the 40, and the 45 are all Federal HST. The 9 is 124 grain, the 40 is 180 grain, and the 45 is a 230 grain. And the 10mm is Underwood, and it's an XTP bullet, and it's 200 grain. So let's talk a little bit about power. The 9mm has a muzzle velocity of 1150 with a muzzle energy of 364 foot-pounds. Now keep in mind, I'm going to give you manufacturer's numbers. I haven't tested these myself. And take the manufacturer's numbers for what they are. This is just to kind of give you comparative information. And just to make it a little bit easier for you to see some of the height differences, I'm going to put this magazine here. It's got a nice line demarking it. And you can see the relative height of the overall cartridge, as well as when you're looking at the 45, which appears to be almost the same size. You can see that the bullet is longer on the 45, but the case is longer on the 10mm. So we'll continue to go ahead with some of the numbers. The 40 has a 1010 muzzle velocity and 408, I'll push these a little bit together, 408 foot-pounds of energy. The 45 has a muzzle velocity of 890. The 45 is known to be a slower round, but it's fairly heavy and gets a muzzle energy of 404. So the muzzle energy is similar between the 40 and the 45. Now let's talk about the 10mm. It's 1250 feet per second and 694 foot-pounds of energy. So you can see that the 10mm is a significantly more powerful round overall than the 45, 40, or 9. The usefulness of this round, it can be used for home defense. It can be used at the range. It's actually quite a bit of fun to shoot at the range, and definitely draws the attention of those around you. And collectors, and also hunting. These pistols are powerful enough to be used for hunting by pistol most game, and they're powerful enough to be used to defend against larger, heavy predators. You would have no problem taking down a black bear or a panther, cougar, mountain lion, that type of thing with these. They're even frequently used in Alaska, which is grizzly territory. You might be a little bit on the edge of what you would want for a grizzly. But with the 10mm, you've got definitely a very capable round that will help defend you against anything that you really come up against. And with 15 rounds of it, that's very easy to keep on target. You've got a very capable hunting or defensive package. Not exactly what I would say for a concealed carry standpoint, even though it's not a whole lot bigger than a 1911, and a lot of people do concealed carry in 1911. You'd get 15 rounds of 10 in that case. So hang on for some more range footage. If you like our videos, please give us a thumbs up, like, share, and have a good day.